Today we're going to actually work on a top-down RPG game, brand new game. So let's get straight into it. And since we're starting a new game today, I'm going to click New Blank Game. All right, now we'll follow along with a set of tutorials that we have created. So if we go to the tutorials sidebar up there in the menu, we can then go to intermediate resources and find top-down game 101. And that's what we'll be working through today. Cool, top-down tutorials. We'll make a fun top-down RPG game. We'll get our character moving around. We'll lay out a level. And then we'll program various interactive parts of that level. And we're going to cover a bunch of programming concepts with this series. We'll cover inputs, outputs, event-driven programming, sequencing, iteration with loops, some variables, data types, if-then-else control structures, selection, comparative operators, and functions. Let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to take me to the tutorial, and we'll start with the first section. Now, we want to grab the assets that we're going to use for this tutorial. So we want to go to Explore Marketplace. And there is a ton of stuff in here that we could use, but we're looking for a specific pack. We want Wonder.RPG Dungeons pack. Wonder.RPG Dungeon. Little guy with a sword on the profile picture. And there is a bunch of cool stuff in here. We've got tiles for the floors and walls, all kinds of decorations and characters, and we can click add to your game. And that's a great point. We've got teacher notes as well, which I might go through. Teacher notes, a little bit more detail in the steps there. Okay, so we've got our assets, we've got our blank game started. We're going to start with a few rooms for our top-down RPG game. How are we going to lay them out? Well, first, we have to create a few tile map layers so that we can draw some of our tiles in. So let's say I wanted to draw some floors first, maybe some stone floors. If I select one of these floors tiles and then try to draw in here, it's going to say tiles must be placed on a tile map layer. So I need to set up my tile map layer. Over in my layers panel, if I click on this plus here, I can add a new tile map layer, which is what I want to do. And I'm going to have a few tile maps in this game, so I will double click on tile map there and rename this to floors. Okay, now with my floors tile map layer selected, I can select one of these floors and start drawing in some floor tiles in here. I want to get a room. How big do I want this room to be? Maybe 10 by 10 tiles. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's make that 10. Now, so that's covering a good chunk of the top part of the level. Let's move my view of the level using this little blue rectangle down here. I can drag further out, and I can also zoom out a little if I want to see the full space I've got to work with. I'm going to go and draw a connecting room over here. So this will be like my starting room, and then you'll go through a hallway into another room. So I might draw some hallway tiles. And this larger room might be some kind of an L-shaped room. So I'm just clicking and dragging to draw tiles into my floors tile map layer. So that's pretty cool. And lastly, I'll draw a third connecting room. I could connect it from this room. I could connect it from this room. I might give the player 2 paths. So I'll use a different floor set there and get this room going down here. Okay. Now we're just starting with 3 rooms to make this fairly straightforward for us to achieve, but we can always go and add more later. So we've got some floors. What we need to do next is put some walls in. Let's add a new tile map layer. New tile map, and we will rename this by double clicking on it to walls. Walls. All right. Now, walls are going to go around the outside of the floors, and we have a few wall tile sets here, right there. So I will start drawing some walls. Now, you can see what's in each layer. If I were to accidentally draw walls in the floors layer, you can see it kind of messes up the arrangement of the tiles. And if I click on the eye icon for floors to turn it on and off, we can see very easily what is in each layer. So I'm going to use the eraser tool to delete the wall from the floors layer. I want to keep the walls and floors separated. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's to do with overlapping and collisions. So make sure your walls are in the walls layer. So draw those around the edge. Got my walls and floors. Let's try a different tile set here. It's looking pretty good. And lastly, put some walls around this room. So you can arrange your rooms however you want. You could even have a large outdoor area if you want. It doesn't have to necessarily be rooms. For this type of a game, top-down RPG game, it is going to help add to the feel of progression, going from one space to the next. Okay. That's looking pretty good. What should we do next? Let's change our background color. If we just click play here now, have a look at our game, what we've got so far, we can change this white to a darker color, maybe like a dark purple or a gray or a black. That will add to the effect of us kind of being in a gloomy area. So let's save what we've got, and then we'll go change that background color. I'll go File, Save Game, and this is the first time we have saved this particular game. So I'm going to call this my Top-Down RPG for Twitch. Yes, you can download, edit, and well, can you download assets? You can download your own assets. You can't download assets from Gamefruit and change them. But if you want to find some cool assets to upload into Gamefruit, it's super easy to upload assets into Gamefruit. You can go to sites like itch.io. Itch.io is a great asset site. Okay, so we've got our rooms. Let's get our background in. If we go to levels, the level sidebar up here, and then for level 1, click on that cog icon and change the background color there. If we click on background color, and let's change that to kind of a dark grayish blue, maybe a bit more purple. How does that? Yeah, that looks pretty good. And yeah, it's looking nice. Okay, so we've got our level laid out with tiles. Let's add a few props into our rooms. They're looking a bit empty, aren't they? So in my starting room, I'm going to have some objects to make it feel kind of like a castle or a dungeon. Yeah, itch.io, great site. Let's go to our media sidebar and find what kind of things could we put in here. Okay, under props, we've got a heap of good objects we've put in. Now, if we were to select something like this broken table and put it in with the walls tile map layer selected, you could see what happens. It gets smushed in like that, and it gets turned into a tile. And tiles can't be scripted, so they can't be interactive. So we don't want to be putting our props into our tile map layers. We want to put those in our background layer. So let's have that layer selected and put in a tile, and we can see the object has been placed, but it's actually behind our floors. So let's drag that background layer up above floors. And I might even rename this layer to props. Double click on background, type in props. So these are like the little decorative items in our game. So I'm going to have a table there. Maybe I'll put a chest there. Some shelves. And we've got some pillars here. They look pretty cool. There's some cool cracked ground looking assets as well. Now, I want this to go underneath the table. So what I could do is click on that little arrow and props, and then select this object and drag it up to the top like that. So that's looking pretty cool. You can go crazy and decorate this however you want. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Let's got to have crates. Wouldn't be a game without crates. Put some rubble in there. How about some swords? A couple of pillars. And this room is an exciting looking room. Let's make it look really beat up. Broken table, some broken pillars, maybe some stairs going somewhere. Some chains to add to the gloomy atmosphere. Bit of rubble. All right. And a broken crate. Okay. How does that look so far? Yeah, looks pretty good. It's a great tile set as well. Okay. So we've got a little bit of a basic layout. Put down. Time to first crate. Yeah, so true. Games have to have crates. We've got our layout in. Let's save what we've got so far. We go File, Save Game. Always a good idea to save regularly. And now what we could do is start to get our game actually feeling like a game with a playable character in there. If we were to play our game now, it would look a bit prettier than the last time we played it, but there's no way to do anything in the game. It's just a nice looking scene. So I'll close that and I'll go and find my player character. There we go. We've got a player character there, a little guy with a sword. You could use one of these other characters as a player as well. We've got a bat, spider, orc, a rat. That'd be an interesting game. So I've got my player, and I'm going to go and place them in a new layer. I'm going to call this new layer characters. So new layer, characters. Okay, and then I'll put my player. Where should they start? Probably here. Up to you though. Okay. Let's add a script. We'll program our player character so that it'll actually do something.